Okay. Yeah, if you can use your microphone, Chair, just the button there. Hello.
Is this better?
That's perfect.
Thank you, Rita.
All right, no worries. Okay, let's do roll call. So Commissioner Bottenberg,
Present.
Commissioner Mishra,
Present.
Commissioner Banak,
Present.
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Rahman, Youth Commissioner Yang, Commissioner Anam,
Present.
and Commissioner Varnes is messaged me and she'll be a few minutes late.
Good. Next, we'll have Pledge of Allegiance. Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic
which
which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Good. Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Do I have
I'll make the motion.
any second?
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? The agenda is approved. Good. Approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any seconds?
A second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Good. Thank you. Do we have somebody for public comment, I understand?
Yes, Commissioner. Yeah, just share. Yes, absolutely. So you have a total of 3 minutes. So thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Longoria, and I am here today to just tell you guys about my new grassroots nonprofit that I just started about a year and a half ago now. We'll be asking for funding for the first time this year from City of Issaquah, Sammamish, and Bellevue. I've been a resident or have worked in all 3 of those cities for the last 20 years, so I'm very familiar with the cities and communities and all of the opportunities that there are here on the east side. My group is called Domestic Violence Survivors, or East Side DVS is what we're also known by. Thus far, we've been running on just donations and word of mouth, and we've helped quite a few people just off that alone. So like I said, this will be our first big ask this year. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys would take a good look at our application when you guys go to review your grants. Now, what our group does is, and the reason why I started this group is there's a really big gap in domestic violence services on the east side. And especially since COVID has been over and rental assistant guidelines have changed and rental assistance funds have went down, and it's very hard to obtain them now. And obviously victims of domestic violence are in need of housing, rental assistance, whatever the case may be. Our group looks to fill the immediate gap of someone who is fleeing a domestic violence situation. There is nowhere currently that I'm aware of on the east side where someone could go when they're fleeing a domestic violence situation. There's no number to call. There is no 3 a.m. person who would be there to be able to help you in your crisis, in your time of need. And so that's where our group looks to fill a gap. I would also like to mention that our organization's board of directors is 85% Black African American. We do believe that we fill a large gap on the east side with equity and funding, and we can contribute to helping with more equity and funding if we're given the chance and opportunity. So that's kind of why I built this group, why I built this organization, and the gap that we're trying to fill here. I know I have just a little bit more time. So our main goals are hotel vouchers for short-term housing when an individual or family is fleeing. Medium and long-term rental assistance once they've established a new residence. Cell phones, often abusive partners destroy cell phones or track them, those type of things. So that would be something that we would use our funding for. Temporary shelter and boarding for pets. Believe it or not, that's one of the #1 reasons that people will not leave a domestic violence situation is because they have nowhere to take their pets. Clothing and hygiene supplies, obviously. And then we have hooked up with a behavioral health organization called For the Culture Counseling that gives all-inclusive counseling for all people of color, and they operate in King County and Pierce County, and we have a contract with them, and the funding would go there as well. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good meeting.
Thank you. Did I- Thank you.
Chair Bernard, I believe that is all for public comment. There's nobody online.
Is there anyone? No
No
comment?
public
Okay.
comment online.
So, well, we can wait
Red
for
Cross has the same problem with shelters. If you have a pet, you don't want to go to a shelter.
Yeah.
Mhm. Now they're allowing pets in shelters.
No, that's interesting. I never thought about that for domestic violence, but that's
Joyce, did you say now they are allowing pets in shelters?
Most shelters,
Oh,
not horses.
well, good. Thanks. Is there any old business? Okay, good. And next we'll move on to new business, introductions. We've got some new people here. What do you think, Rita? Any suggestions on the best way? Just have everybody. Okay. Would we like to start down and just introduce yourself?
Okay, sorry, getting settled. Apologize. I'm Julie Varnes. I've been on the commission since 2021, right? 2021, yeah. Anyway, apologize for being late. Anyway, I've enjoyed my time here, and this is a grant year, so it's really going to be an interesting year. Looking forward to hearing about what the other commissioners have found in their review of the grants. Welcome.
I'm Ramya. I'm here for 3 months and this is a great place to be. Welcome.
That's it. I'm Joyce Bottenberg. This is my 10th year on the commission. I started with a task force way back. And I've lived on the Sammamish Plateau, as it was known as the Pine Lake Plateau, since 1986. And my traditional work was in human services.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Soumya and this is my first meeting. I just joined the commission and I'm very excited to be here and learn from all of your experiences of being on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rich Benak. I've been on the commission about 3 years, and I'm always continuing to learn more here. Even though I've lived in the city for over 20 years, it's always a learning experience.
I'm Mary Martin, and I've lived in Sammamish since 2007. And this is my second year, so I'm still very new. This is my first grant process as a commissioner, and I'm still working in human services.
Hi, my name's Saad. This is my first year on the commission. And I'm looking forward to presenting and learning more about the grant process.
Hello, my name is Audrey and I'm the youth representative, and I'm a junior in high school.
Great, thank you. I want to welcome all our new people. So it's great. We're looking forward to having you, and especially with this grant process. I think this is a great opportunity to see. I've learned so much when I went through it, and just to see what the needs are of our community. And often there's a gap between, the needs and how much, resources are available. So I believe the next thing is basically the application review process for mental wellness.
Chair, I'm going to hand this over to Commissioner Bottenberg and Commissioner Annam because they were the
Excellent
commissioners
idea.
reviewing.
Next slide. Okay, tonight's the night. We have 15 to look at. Okay. We will start with the one asking for the most funds. Do you want to speak to any of it, Rita?
I'm happy for you to talk to it and then I can add if
Okay.
you would like me to. I'm happy to step in wherever you would like me to.
Okay. We start with Cross Path, which is within the Youth East Side Service funding. It is for all Sammamish residents, and you can see here it's youth mental wellness services, treatment for youth mental wellness services for Sammamish youth and parents by a duly certified therapist, no fee mental health screenings and assessments for Sammamish youth, and referrals to behavioral health services locally. It was 5 years ago when we first funded Youth East Side Services Cross Path. It was a special grant in mid-year and it was a phenomenal start. It was during the time of was there 3 suicides in the high schools at that time. And thankfully, the city council approved this, what I would call emergency and continuing funding for this service. Do we have another slide on Cross Path or do I take it from here?
No, so each application has one slide. Yeah.
Okay. They originally asked for 101,770, which is nearly the total of their cost. This is about a 10% increase over their last, which was a $92,518 for the 2023-2024 biennial that we are in now. Their Sammamish residents seen youth are 214 projected, 214 served this past year. Personally, I think it's a phenomenal organization. Their mental health or substance abuse crisis up to ages 22 with serious behavioral issues or substance abuse, depression, anxiety, trauma, grief, self-harming, behavioral, suicidal, and multiple issues. There's Sammamish units. I would say their highlights are their counseling hours, 824 hours projected for this next year. They are resources for families to other providers. As I understand, you can walk into the building and be referred to where you can be assisted. They have a, Jamie Sweeney is the therapist. Zachary, who I think was the original one, is still with the agency. And they're working on the anxiety, depression, parenting, motivational, gender, domestic therapy, and what I said before, trauma, suicidal, self-harm, stress, and mindfulness. Are there any questions to CrossPath? Yes. Okay, the second one? No questions for the first? Okay.
Commissioner Annam, do you want to add anything to that or, okay.
You know, you can speak if you wish. Yeah, if you want to. Okay. Youth East Side Service Behavioral Health for Children and Youth. This is another one that we fully funded for the last biennial. It was funded at 31,900 and they're asking for 35,090. Their statistics here are that they served 78 individuals, Sammamish residents, in the prior year and project the same for this next biennial. They cover 4 cities. They're requesting a 10% increase. And that would be from Bellevue, Redmond, Renton, and Sammamish. We
This
can
is-
read here, the program intervenes, stabilizes, and support youth and families. Is evidence-based mental health counseling, substance use treatment, co-occurring disorders, psychiatric services, and case management. The program is implemented in middle and high schools in partnership with the Lake Washington School District. And Youth Eastside Service is the lead referral agency for students in the Lake Washington School District. Are there any questions?
Yes. So the difference between these two grants is this is taking the therapist to the high schools, is that right? Instead of funding a therapist at an office?
That's right.
Yes, Commissioner Martin, so this is Youth Side Services. So this is really helping in the middle and high schools, and that's within the Lake Washington School District. So that's the 98074 part of Sammamish. And the prior organization, it was YES and CrossPath, but really it's CrossPath on its own. So CrossPath it's like YES is their fiscal sponsor, so to speak. But CrossPath is a unique counseling service that is in Lower Commons there. It's a little house down in Lower Commons. And the money that do you mind bringing up the first slide? So for this, they're asking for a lot of money. And as Commissioner Bottenberg said, that this was in response to some deaths happening at Skyline High School, and then council gave us some money. And we had an RFP where lots of organizations gave in proposals, and ultimately the commission decided to fund a full-time therapist. So this person is based in Sammamish, and the unique thing of this counselor is that they have information and assessment. So oftentimes people can't get in with a counselor, and they are dedicated that if anybody calls in crisis, they will within 24 hours, and they're a Sammamish resident, they will within 24 hours call that person back and take a very detailed intake. And then if they can't see that youth or person in crisis, they will make sure to do a soft handoff in making sure that they find someone that accepts their insurance, and also find a counselor that they need in the area that they need. So that's a very unique service that the CrossPath offers. So the next one, if you just want to, so that's CrossPath, and then this is really a school-based counseling service. Yeah.
I know that there were some discussions about working with Issaquah School District. Has that, do you know if they made any inroads into that?
So we have Friends of Youth, and Friends of Youth focuses on Issaquah School District. And so it's really YES on the Lake Washington School District side and Friends of Youth on the Issaquah School District side. We're just so blessed that we have like 2 school districts in our city, and then hence 2 different counseling services. And yeah.
Just to confirm, so these are the ones we're presenting, are the ones which we are proposing to accept the grant for.
So Commissioner Mishra, if you look at the original slide with the breakdown of the funds, this will show what the organization requested. And then on the right-hand side, that's what Commissioner Bottenberg and Commissioner Anam are suggesting and recommending that the commission funds.
Okay, thank you.
Both, I think of the request mentioned like 10% increase over the previous year. Did they,
I think
what were
that's
the
what we
reasons?
said. Yeah.
They cited like increased wages, like paying a living wage. What were the reasons they cited? Just cost of delivery?
Trying to keep the same staff and trying to
Yeah.
deal with no turnovers.
Yeah.
You see that throughout the month.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
Any other comments? Next. Friends of Youth, mental health and substance use counseling. Now, they are asking for 21,000, which is 1,000 over last year biennial funding. The residents served was 41 in the past biennial and the current one that we're in, and projecting 43 residents in the next biennial. This is a free service. It's mental health and substance use disorder, the counseling hours. It was the Friends of Youth was founded in 1951. It covers a 600 square mile area, and the ages served are between 4 and 24 and their families. Okay. They served 41 residents and 43 projected, I said. Their counseling hours, the difference is this current biennial, the 2023 year, 679 counseling hours. That's with 41 Sammamish residents. They're projecting 713 counseling hours with 43 Sammamish residents. And they have 27 full-time employees. They have 22 program sites in 18 cities. They cover the homelessness, housing instability, foster care, behavioral health challenges. They have a very diverse funding base. They are the provider of youth services East Side. It's one of those regional good type of organizations that we wish to have close by for us. They have Issaquah, Kirkland, and what I call virtual offices. And 75% of their staff are Black, Indigenous, people of color. So you read it here, the outpatient. I'm reading it because it's on the air here too, for anybody listening. Outpatient counseling for youth and mental health and substance abuse use, treatment and prevention, provide individual, group, and family therapy in Issaquah, behavioral health services to transitional living programs, youth and shelters, and school-based counseling and prevention services. Are there any questions or comments? You want to add anything, Rita?
Yeah, so I think, and I think whenever you review a slide, I'll just sort of say what was requested and what's your recommendation as a group, because I think that might just make more sense. So for Friends of Youth, they're requesting 21,000, and as a subgroup, you're recommending 21,000.
And we provided 20,000 this past year, past biennial. Any comments, questions?
So for the hours for counseling, what is that based off of, like a month or a year?
It's a 60-minute counseling
Oh,
hours
60
that they use for their measurement
Okay.
or outcomes. Okay, the next one is the garage, a teen cafe.
And the garage, they're requesting 15,000, and the subgroup is recommending 10,000.
There's been an Issaquah garage, teen center, down close to the Issaquah Food and Clothing Bank for 5 years. And their hope is to have one here in Sammamish. They had planned originally to have a module donated through the Lake Washington School District and settled temporarily on the town center area. But things have not come together for them, so there's nothing projected to happen in this year. However, we're looking at the biennial that starts January. It's a 2-year calendar year, 2025 and 2026 biennial funding that we're talking about now. So it's hard for them to project how many Sammamish residents they will see because they don't have any history here. There are some of our Issaquah attendees, from, our school can go down to the teen center there in Issaquah. Teen services and case management is their description of their program. As Rita said, they were asking for 15. Well, this is kind of hard because they're not here. However, we do feel that when they are here and are funding, it would be nice to be able to support them. They don't have outcome figures really because they don't know if they're going to have 20 kids or 60 kids or whatever. They're projecting they'd have 45 in this next biennial. They seem to attract the marginal student. As a commission, we visited the Issaquah Teen Center, the garage downtown Issaquah, and it's a phenomenal organization. And it would be wonderful to have similar one here.
I guess my question is, how would we measure them? I mean, that's, I would see that as a challenge if they don't have any metrics. I mean, normally,
Yeah, Commissioner Bottenberg and Commissioner Annam, I don't know if you can talk to this. In the application, they didn't reference Sammamish once. And I know that they weren't able to serve Sammamish residents simply because their location, it's a phenomenal location. They do phenomenal work, but it's based right outside of a high school in Issaquah, if you recall that we went there. So I think the question is really about location. Are they going to be able to access location? They don't have anything in the way of location secured. They didn't talk about that in the application, but yeah, I'm just, giving some more detail there.
And Rita, if you wish to drop into the Rotary Club meeting at noon tomorrow,
Oh, wow.
Kaylee is the speaker,
Yeah.
the program. It's kind of a disappointment that they haven't been able to really land here. It's a great organization.
Excuse me, can you clarify, have we funded them in the past? We have not, right?
No.
No, we have
Okay.
not. No.
Thank
I
We
think
have.
originally they had a number of years ago applied, and at the time the commission denied their request because they just couldn't understand how they were going to get students from here down to Issaquah.
They also draw from the Liberties High School. Any other questions?
Is there anything in process right now for a location here? You said something fell through. Could it be revived or where does it
Well,
stand?
part of it is they had met with the town center developers. There is space in the town center. This year is the brownstone and the big dig is what I call it for apartments and condominiums and reach a change of let's say the access and parking at Lower Commons. There's the question of what happens to the building that is housing Youth Eastside Service cross path. There was a lot of, I would say, balls in the air that it was hard to be able to pinpoint the right spot. They do have the offer of a module, like a classroom from the Lake Washington School District, but that's where it stalled.
Can I just add to that, Commissioner Bottenberg? That's a great question, Commissioner Martin. And staff did reach out to Kaylee, who's the executive director. And we just wanted to get some clarifying question on that. And we just sort of asked them that we'd love some clarity around whether you have a secured location in Sammamish. And this was also forwarded to both the commissioners. And Kaylee, the executive director, basically said, not yet. They haven't found a temporary location, and that they're working with some council members to look at opportunities at the CWU campus. But they have, as of now, not secured a location.
Sort of an aside here, I think that many of us are looking for locations for, whether we have a senior community art performance center on the plateau, whether or not the Central Washington University could be used for adult education, such as the Telos program that is run by the Bellevue College. There's a lot of discussion about what could be.
So can I just ask on this one? Since we haven't funded them in the past and they don't have a Sammamish location, how strongly, I guess, did you feel like if we have to look at, trying to make a budget or something like that, how strongly did you feel about this one? In terms of funding, since there is no like Sammamish location yet, or are you viewing this as like, this would help them find that?
When we reviewed the application, they are not offering anything differently than the other organizations are offering. But the strong point in there is case manager helps housing insecurity, and so that was our point. And we also wanted to give them a chance. This was their first time, so we thought we'll give them $10,000 and see how it goes on the reporting. Rita might help us in getting that detail. So we wanted to try them out. It's not primarily on the location itself, but they don't have anything unique offering compared to other um, organizations are offering. So we wanted to try them out and give them a chance.
So to read this, they are a new applicant, after-school drop-in place for teens, youth-led programming, currently located only in Issaquah, access to counseling services, academic tutoring, case management, helps housing insecure teens. They serve the neurodivergent, BIPOC, and the LGBTQ youth. And they have asked for 15. I'd love to see it offered. But they don't, as you heard, have outcomes. They don't have space, but they might this next year. The usual process is that when something is granted, they have a quarterly report. They have a contract with the city. Their reimbursement is based more than 3 months. They do it on their own, let's say January, February, and March. They turn over their information to Rita in April. Their funding would come after that. If they haven't come up with a contract, if they have not come up with outcomes and numbers, nothing can be funded. So I call this a placeholder, and I'd like to see something to help them. Is there anything else? Moving on.
Okay, next one is Bright Spark Early Learning. They requested 14,096, and the subgroup would like to recommend 5,000.
Okay, Bright Spark is the current name of Childcare Resources, which was founded about 1991. It served King County, then it served Puget Sound, and now it has statewide referral center for both families in need of childcare and the training and support of providers. This is a new program called Early Learning Services. It focuses on ages 3 to 5. Trauma, systemic barriers, low income, and such. It was fully funded by a government grant through last year. They're looking for funding to be able to continue it, and they are approaching several cities. They project 32 Sammamish residents. They are approaching 13 cities for funding. Their counseling is projected to 96 2-hour sessions. They have group training sessions for the providers. They have one full-time staff currently, proposing another half-time person. They have a child, family, classroom program consultations. They have sites in Kent, Redmond, and Renton. Their staff is 60% BIPOC, BIPOC. Each of these have surveys that we're talking about. They have certain times that they do things, whether it's every 3 months, every 6 months, an annual one by talking to people about it, phone and all. Just wanted to say that before we lose that and all the organizations we're talking about. While $14,096 that they're suggesting is, as I said, based on a 32 resident count, it makes a huge difference for those 32. We're projecting or suggesting a $5,000 to show our support of such a needed program, early learning services for ages 3 to 5. Are there any questions with this?
Do they provide like therapy? Do they have a therapist on, who's gonna be working with these, young kids? Is that?
They have very much specialists.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, so they do have.
So is it more for young children, 0 to 3 or 3 to 5?
3 to 5 years old.
Okay, on the slide.
So the referral center is for the 0 to 3?
Well, anybody who's looking for childcare can call up and have them suggest whether it's family, friends, or neighbors, the licensed versus the non-licensed, the childcare centers, the church childcare programs, and they've been doing. That was their first start back in the 1990s, and quickly upon that was making sure that the providers, the childcare providers, were adequately trained, visited, and supported. Any other questions? The reason I'm so brilliant on this is I worked for them for 2 years, the fundraising back in 2001, 2, and 3. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say that so far, they're serving the youngest, but I've had several youth and teenage counseling, but this is for really the young kids, right?
This is what makes going through the mental health organization is quite challenging because there's so much need.
Next one's athletes for kids.
Mhm.
They're requesting 10,000 and the subgroup is recommending 7,500.
Athletes for Kids has been around for several years. It's headquartered here. Youth mentoring. This is where athletes, which can be defined as somebody who's also active in other physical sports, becomes the mentor and is matched with a buddy in whatever grade. It could be from, elementary school forward through the rest of their schooling years. Most of the mentors are there for 3 years. They come on as sophomores, some juniors and seniors, so they're only 1 year. They have to, they meet up with their mentors and buddies meet up for 6 to 8 hours per month. And they meet at the home of the buddy. And then there are certain activities and trainings that are put on by the Athletes for Kid leadership staff there. And so that there's more than just the kids talking together or playing, those crazy digital video things. Let's see now, they have Athletes for Kids. 240 Sammamish residents involved with the program last year. There's a combination of the buddies and the mentors. 250 projected for this next year. They're also active in several high schools now, Bellevue, Redmond, and I guess I'd say Lake Washington. They're active in the 3 high schools here. Okay, they are requesting funding from 4 cities, 11 high schools. Sammamish and Bellevue awarded funding in the last biennial. They have 6 full-time equivalent staff. Their buddies and their are 40% non-white. This is the way they called it here. Staff leadership is 33%. The BIPOC. These kids who are the buddies are often the ones that are lonely at school, bullied, they lost a parent. There are also many of them are in the autism, ADDA, with anxiety, depression, PTSD, sensory processing. These are kids that they match up with the mentors. There are meetings with them before they're assigned. Seems to be a very, very worthwhile program. We've had youth speakers on that at Rotary. Okay, let's see, what else I have. And they, Athletes for Kid, I said they had 250 projected for this next year. 125 of this, 125 of that. It makes a huge difference in that buddy's life. And see here, the mentoring partnerships between high school athletes with children who have disabilities or special needs. The monthly one-on-one meetings, they have weekly meetings. Mentor training and leadership opportunities, definitely. And they are in the Lake Washington and Issaquah school districts, but they're also in surrounding towns. We don't have 11 high schools, and they're serving in 11 high schools.
How much did we fund them last time?
5,000. I'm suggesting 75. We are suggesting 7,500 is sort of a, and they were asking for 10,000. It's sort of a, let's move them up in support.
I know we struggled with them last time because of it was the emphasis on high school athletes and like, they didn't have like maybe band members or other perhaps in leadership that would be, as good, for example, that maybe the students could relate to in other fields. And I think this was we saw an advantage to the high school athletes in their, college applications and things, but that was my concern, was that it was just limited to this one group, the athletes, versus it would have been nice to see a more diverse set of buddies.
It's really any sport now. It's not just the football, baseball, track, and
But Commissioner Bottenberg and Commissioner Banak, yes, you made a great point. A few years ago, there was questions by the commission. However, they are still limiting it to athletes. Yeah, and so not inclusive of other like band folks or coding or whatever interest students might have.
this is their mission. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they chose to start, and they have expanded significantly.
So because it's with athletes, is it primarily sensory disabilities? like you
What
mentioned?
kind?
Athletes, so because it's with just athletes.
They're the mentors, yes.
Okay.
Mhm. But it's not just the football team, for example.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying are the disabilities that they're working with, are they primarily sensory disabilities?
Great question, Commissioner Rahman. So they have folks from all different like mentees from all different spectrums. They can be sensory, they can be anxiety, it can be attention, or just, anywhere where like they feel like a kid may be benefiting from a older kid as a mentor.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. But does it have to do with like the physical aspect of that?
No, that's a great question as well. They're not necessarily playing sports together. It's just athletes are the only ones that can be the mentors here.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we move on.
Okay, the next one is Crisis Connections, King County 211. And the request was, they are asking for 10,000 and the subgroup is suggesting 8,000.
And the question is, we contributed 6,000 this last biennial per year. So we are recommending moving up to the 8,000. King County 211 is something that you would call if you had an emotional problem. It's not the 911. 911 is the medical, fire, police emergencies. 211 is where you can find help for food, clothing, where to go, shelter, transportation needs. It's really quite dynamic. It's done by phone calls. It's what they call essential needs services. It has a direct phone responder from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Their chat and text is 24/7 and email. It was formed in 1964. It was originally as part of the United Way. There were 100 Sammamish residents projected to be for this next biennial. Well, they had 144 this last one. So big question is, why are they suggesting lower number? They had, for Sammamish residents, 370 calls for information and referral. They had, as I said, 100 unduplicated calls. Housing, shelter, healthcare, government support, utilities, and food are where they can make some fantastic referrals. If you were to call up and say, my grandmother in Alabama needs help, how can I find how to move her to her new place? They can connect you with that service down there. Okay, they have 9.55 full-time employees. We call it for preventative help. They have 150 languages. Just about all of these have ability to have language and interpreters, if not through a service, through their staffing and their, let's say their pamphlets and supplies there. They have a post-call survey. They have an annual and a 3-month phone follow-up. It's the one to call when you have a need. Not a medical, not a fire, not a police. Are there any questions to 211?
Isn't this like a government-backed
No,
organization?
they have some government funding, but they're dependent on foundations and grants and in-kind and all that, like everyone else.
So 911 does too.
Never, that's more of a government funding.
This is not.
No, this is a nonprofit organization. Okay. And we work to, and reading this here, information referral, connector, educator, provider of information can be accessed by phone or online to anyone in King County. Staff assesses clients' needs, screen for eligibility, and provide targeted referrals to providers. Information and referral staff trained to have comprehensive understanding of human service system, and they sure do. Okay. Any more questions, comments? Okay.
Okay, the next one we have is Lake Washington Schools Foundation Links Lunch Buddy Program. They're requesting 10,000 and the subgroup is recommending 2,500.
This is the, as you say, links. And so it's having a buddy come in once a week and sit with you at lunch. There's a similar program in the Issachar schools. These are, okay. Looking into needs of kids is what it stands for. Lunch buddies, one-on-one sessions, 30 to 60-minute at a lunch period. They only work in one elementary school in Lake Washington School District that's in Sammamish, is the Mead Elementary. They had 25 kids in the elementary school that were provided buddies this past year. They have a projection of 30 for this next biennial. This is their, well, what my note says here, their first time asked to Kirkland, Redmond, and Sammamish. They have 1.5 full-time equivalents. They're in 15 schools overall, but 1 in Sammamish. There are 9 schools on a waiting list. It's nice for the 25 or 30 kids that they sit with.
Did they mention what the funds would be used for?
What?
What the funds would be used for?
I think staffing more than anything else. They've had it led by a volunteer for many years. Do you know that, Rita? Or?
Yeah, so they did have someone at the foundation that did a lot of work relating to the Lunch Buddy program. Also, just an FYI, this program was funded, I believe, 2 grant cycles ago. And the reason why it wasn't reallocated funding was is that they weren't able to get their service units. And I think it came down to they definitely had kids in need. They just couldn't find enough adults to volunteer an hour a week to go to a school and have lunch with the kid. So yeah, but I clearly they've got some more staffing now. So yeah, and then this would be confined currently to Margaret Mead Elementary School.
I don't know if you guys heard of it, but is this similar to voice mentoring? A part of
Yes.
Issaqua? Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And we did not get a proposal from them.
Is there any plan to expand this to other schools? I mean, so I think, well, do they have a design, identified, hey, what's their expansion plan to other elementary schools?
I think that's what they want to do. They have those on waiting list of schools, but not having the number of volunteers to be the buddy, or I shouldn't use the word buddy again here, but it is. So that is why we suggested a $2,500 to support the program, when their ask was for 10,000. Somehow or other, 30 kids didn't seem like a large number of Sammamish residents. Okay, reading again here. One-on-one mentoring program within the Lake Washington School District. Evidence-based mentoring program to address academic, behavioral, and social emotion support for students. Mentors meet once a week for lunch at school with a lunch buddy. Okay.
Okay, we go to the next one, and NAMI East Side, mental health education and support. The request was for 6,500 and the group is recommending 5,000.
Our funding this current biennial is 5,000.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Allen, do you want to add anything to this, to the NAMI one, or no? Okay.
Say again?
No, sorry, I was just asking
Oh.
Commissioner Allen if she had anything to add to this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the NAMI program is a national program with a local chapter. This is mental health education and support. They have reported 111 individual Sammamish residents served this past biennial and, well, current, and project 110 for this next biennial period. It's a community mental health education and support program. It's a peer and family program. It's a peer-led support group. So you have someone who has been part of the mental wellness community. They have workshops and project of 41 individual workshops this past year and 45 projected in this next one. They have 7 full-time equivalent staff. They have diverse fundraising. And again, the NAMI inside is what I would call a regional good program. It's not just Sammamish that can turn to them, but they're throughout the county. This is the NAMI East Side program.
Can I just clarify, they'll report service hours to you Sammamish specific, right?
Yes, absolutely. And just so you know, so NAMI last go round, we funded them for 2 programs. The mental health education support that we gave them 5,000 for, this is for the currently what we're funding. And then we also funded them for the youth mental health program. They were unable to achieve their numbers for the youth health mental programs. We never gave them any funding, and they actually didn't reapply for that. So that was based on Sammamish numbers. But yes, they'll definitely be providing those, yeah.
Peer-led support groups for individuals and families with mental health conditions, information and referral, mental health education, advocacy, and support services. I think that sometimes all of us need something like that. Any questions? Comments? Okay.
Okay, moving along, a Bridge of Promise. The program is Bridge Academy. They're asking for 5,000 and the subgroup is recommending 5,000.
Okay. They have an academy, which is for the aged out students who need additional support. So that, you know, they are not college material. It's an adult daycare for the medically fragile. They have 10 individuals, Sammamish residents, this past year reported and projected. And this is to provide them social skills, recreational opportunities, life skills, and become active as a community participant. They have 25 full-time equivalency staff. The people are ages 21 plus. It is full-time supported care. Interesting, public transportation or their own transportations is how they get to the program. They're currently in Bellevue and Kent. Actually, this number is kind of intriguing. Adult daycare hours in Sammamish for the projected 2,500. And you heard the numbers of people. 10. It's really quite an intensive trying to help them with life skills. There it is. Bridge Academy, life skills, therapeutic classes, online engagement and community participation for adults 21 plus with disabilities, online and in-person classes. And I think very importantly, respite time for the caregivers.
Can I just clarify what you said about they're in Bellevue and Kent? Do they actually have a location and then
Well, you see that they do have online engagement here too.
Okay.
But it's where you go to be with others.
and there's 10
that's a-
Sammamish residents
yeah.
currently in the
Sounds like
program?
parents have got to take them or they've got to learn how to take the bus.
Commissioner Barnes, so we currently fund them and currently they served 70, last year in 2023, they served 73 Sammamish residents.
Have they mentally
I'm so sorry, I lied. It was actually 36. I'm sorry. There's Bridge Disability Ministries, then there's Bridge of Promise. So yeah, it's 36 residents that they served in 2023. And I apologize, Commissioner Annan, please go ahead.
I think one of the situations is that, you know, the applications were due early April. And they were trying to give information for the past calendar year as what happened and what's projected. That's a lot of stuff coming to them at the same time that they're trying to turn in their reports to be able to be reimbursed. And that's true of everybody for that matter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner Annan, I think I cut you off, so please go ahead.
no, you're good.
No, no,
I
no,
think
it's
it's
not
just me.
going
So
to-
I just wanted to know a little bit more about the organization. Have they also mentioned the kind of classes they offer to?
Well, it's the life skills type of class. Okay. 133 clients want social skills, recreational opportunities, life skills, and active community participation.
Yeah, I just want to
It's
know
a-
exactly
A
how.
lot of referrals come from Special Olympics.
Okay. Yeah, my question was more trying to be aimed towards like, how will the participants put those skills to use in their daily life? And that's the reason I asked the question, what kind of classes would they?
Do you have an idea, Rita?
Yeah, I believe, don't quote me, I believe this is Easter Seals that has changed sort of like name. And so I did attend like many years ago and went and it was as, I think it's more for Commissioner Mishra, rather than sort of arming them with like life skills, it's more a place for them to go and be connected and like connect with others and have a place and have a belonging other than just being at home. And I think particularly like the respite time for caregivers is a very big thing, even though they don't call that out. Yeah, so I think, you know, so last year they served 36 Sammamish residents. Yeah.
And they do that at a location in Kent, or where was the other one?
Bellevue.
Oh, in Bellevue.
Okay, again, life skills, therapy classes, online engagement, and community participation for adults 21 plus with disabilities. Online and in person, respite time for caregivers. Okay,
Okay, next one is Crisis Connections Crisis Line. Crisis Connections gave us 3 applications in total, and this is the second one. The first one was King County 211, and this is Crisis Line. They're asking for 5,000 and the subgroup is recommending 5,000.
and we funded them 4169 in the prior biennial. Okay, now this is where they have an interesting ability to, when people are calling, this is a crisis line that's 24/7. That's a 20% increase over the prior year. The people calling are primarily marginalized, the LGBTQ, the BIPOC, marginalized communities. They have 55.6 full-time equivalencies. The calls are taken by volunteers, 4 to 6 volunteers in a 4-hour shift. Again, it's an emotional crisis line too. In numbers called, individuals in Sammamish, 3,300 projected, 3,476 in this last 2023 year. They do a lot of travel vouchers, and everything is handled by phone or online. It's another one of those regional good. They have a separate phone number, and it's different from the 211. Can you speak to that, Rita?
Yeah, just pretty much is they have a unique number that you can call or text, and it really is for folks in like crisis, like they're homeless, it's domestic violence, it's someone having a mental health crisis, it's people don't know where to turn to, so they'll call this line.
How does this differentiate, differ from the 211?
211 is more like it's not this acute, like I need help right now. So this is so the kind of like the people that are picking up the 211 are very different from the crisis line folks. The crisis line folks tend to be a lot more trained and be able to help people navigate like, you know, a situation that is acute in nature and they need help sort of ASAP.
What's the reason for them to call this rather than 911?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Commissioner Young. So I think 911 is like my life is in danger, or I feel like I'm gonna die, or there's an emergency and I need to get medical help. This may look a little bit different. It could be something along the lines of like my kids having a mental health crisis. I'm suffering from domestic violence, abuse. So yes, I do hear what you're saying. I think with 911, it tends to be like, medical care or police or fire. And oftentimes there might be sort of different, situations that don't require those three services.
Regional emergencies is 911. Behavioral health crisis is 988. 211 is resources. And they have very much diverse funding. They do get government funding, but not enough.
My
Okay,
question usually with such organizations is, what are they doing to reach out to people? How would people know that they have these kind of emergency numbers that they can use?
Again, that's a great question. So I know that, 211 tends to be the number that folks will call. And so with the crisis line, so we're going to go on to another link, a line that they have called the teen line. And I know with the teen line, a lot of the teens have that number on the back of their cards. As far as crisis line, I don't know what actual outreach they do in the community, that I'm not aware of, and I can find out more on that.
Yeah, it feels more like 211 should be the crisis number, right? Like 911 and 211. Rather, they do have some other number probably for the crisis line, which
Yeah.
which they have not provided here.
And I will say that, I know that they are very trained, because they tend to have a lot of people that maybe are thinking of suicide. And so the training for those volunteers is a lot more in depth than the 211.
211 is more information and referral than anything else.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother in Alabama, that
Yeah.
kind. They can help.
Do you guys
Where to
know?
go?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you know which line has been called more? Because I know this one has a 20% increase. Do you guys know if it increased?
You want numbers?
Yes,
Yes,
I can
111.
tell you. That's a great question, Commissioner Rahman. So I actually have that information to hand. And last year, 211, we had 140 residents call. And for the crisis line, we had 1,739 calls.
Thank you.
Okay, 24-hour crisis line provides free crisis intervention, information, and referral to anyone needing help in county, and I could say and beyond. Links callers to emergency, behavioral health, and community services. It's an online resource information. Okay. Is
The next one is Crisis Connections Team Link. They're requesting 5,000, and the subgroup is recommending 3,500.
and last biennial, we granted 2,000, so we split the difference of their 5,000 to get to the 3,500. The Sammamish resident count calling last year, 1,692 individuals. And projected for this next year, 1,000. We don't know why there is such a big difference or why it's lower. Okay, this is this is teenagers, well-trained to talk to others that are calling who are under age 21. That's the peer-to-peer helpline for those that are under 21. It's a statewide service. Let's see now, okay. The number, they're in 17 cities now. They have 5.5 full-time equivalent helpline. is daily 6 to 10 p.m. 6 to 9:30 is text and chat. As suicide is the second highest cause of death for 10 to 24 years old in Washington. And CTAC, Seattle Tacoma rather, has second highest suicide rate in the United States, 33 largest metro areas. They do and a lot of follow-up surveys too. They call people back. This is another one of those regional good. They handle the calls on stress, loneliness, frustration, depression, suicidal, family dynamics. They have a very diverse funding base. And let's see now. Like I said, we recommended $2,000 in the last biennial, and they're asking for 5,000, and we're splitting it with 3,500 here. Anything you want to add, Rita?
No, just that the numbers that they served in 2023, there was actually 174 phone calls to the support line. The 1,694 included lots of folks that attended there as suicide prevention, I'm assuming through a school. But the number of teens that actually texted or called was 174.
Confidential and anonymous statewide peer-to-peer helpline and text. Service providing emotional support and resources to youth. A specific line for substance use disorders. And then the suicide prevention training in schools and community. This is, they had 1,400 attendees in high school and middle school classes. They say here. Are there
So-
any other?
Oh, can I ask on the, just to clarify, so Rita, you said there was 174 calls text from Sammamish residents. And so actually, if they're projecting 1,000, is that what?
I'm assuming so, Commissioner Vanis, so their service units, the service unit one is contact, so I'm assuming phone call or text. And then the other service unit is attendees that attend the suicide prevention seminar. So the vast majority of those numbers would be for the attendees at the prevention seminar.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Okay, so moving along, we're in the home stretch now. It's Friends of Youth Healthy Start Home Visiting Program. They're requesting 5,000 and the subgroup is recommending 3,000.
We've recommended 3,000 in this last biennial also. What I have is that they had 12 resident individuals served this past, and they projected 12 in the future here. This is a parenting class, in-home visiting. For ages under age 5 and under, put it that way. It's a mobile program. And as they say here, 25% of their clients are Black, 45% are Hispanic. Their home visits hours for the Sammamish residents was 21 hours projected in the past, number 2. And of the area that they serve, that's a total of 342 home visits. So ours is 21 of 342. They have 4.5 full-time equivalents. They have high support from government funding. The children in the program, the family stresses of low income, low education, the young age of the parents, and mental illness. They have 57 learning coaches that serve the providers. They have a diverse funding base. And again, they're asking 5, we're recommending 3, and we gave 3 in this last biennial. Do you have different numbers?
Those are the same, yeah.
Okay. Home visiting program to engage expectant parents and caregivers of kids under 5 through developmental screenings and referrals to community resources. Focus on vulnerable families, homeless, mental illness, domestic violence, parents, low income, and they help children enter kindergarten ready to learn. Like I said, Friends of Youth was formed in 1951. And pretty darn good program. Okay. Any questions? You see that the training is pretty much in their home. Okay.
Okay, next one's Hero House. The request is for 5,000 and the subgroup is recommending 5,000.
And believe it or not, we gave 5,000 in the last biennial. They project 175 Sammamish residents to be supported in this next year. Oh, I'm reading the wrong line, sorry. 6 is all that they have here. It's a supported employment. Ages 18 plus with mental illness. The target is for them is to run a business and hit a 90-day continuous work plan for them. The Sammamish residents had 40 employment service visits, which is having the staff visit them at a workplace setting. They have 9 full-time equivalent. Their board leadership and their staff leadership are, I would say 50% in that BIPOC and is that a fair thing to say, or should I be saying Black, Indigenous, the word I trip over, people
No,
of color?
You could just say BIPOC. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's absolutely a fine acronym.
They have offices in Bellevue, Seattle, and Everett. They do quarterly phone surveys. They have diversified funding. And boy, oh boy, I'd like to have something like that for some people that I know that aged out of high school, and they have a mental illness diagnosis and they need help getting going. Any questions or comments?
Can you elaborate more on the clubhouse model? I'm unaware.
Say again?
The clubhouse model, can you elaborate a
Yeah,
little bit more on
There's a
that?
clubhouse. Getting the people together, that's one of those. Mediated approach to provide both vocational and social rehabilitation and recovery. The clients are engaged in running of the clubhouse, supported employment program offered. And as we said, this serves adults 18 and over with mental illness using the clubhouse model of working together.
So can I just ask a little clarifying question on that? So they're running, you mentioned running a business, and running the business is running the clubhouse?
a work
Do they
setting.
take, or do they actually go out and work?
Yeah,
They do.
and then they have visits by the staff there to make sure that they're in line and working. And if they can do it for 90 days, that's a real one of their outcomes.
Did it say where is the clubhouse located? I thought there was one in Issaquah.
Now they say Bellevue, Seattle, and Everett.
Huh.
Okay,
And last is influencer choice, parent and community education. They're requesting 4,240 and the subgroup is recommending 3,000.
okay, this is free parent education and community engagement to prevent youth substance use, and it's for students in grades 6 to 12. Interesting. They have, okay, here we have Issaquah membership in Bellevue. where they have activities going here. And they're projecting for Sammamish one hidden in plain sight event. Any of you know about that?
I remember that from the last time where basically you look for indications of drugs within your kids.
Right. They had one at Inglewood High School not that long ago, junior high. And they also had one in Issaquah, I think it was last year. And they're projecting one resource fair event. And the organization is 56% BIPOC. So we're asking for some funding. They're projecting 171 residents. Do you have anything to add, Rita?
No, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
The mental health first aid training, I thought that was by somebody else. Are they doing it now too?
Yes, I believe so, yeah. Commissioner Bottenberg, lots of organizations offer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parent education webinars, Parents Guide to Healthy Youth Survey. That comes out in September each year.
Yeah, so they're actually, I've been to one of their offerings. That's for Issaquah School District, the Healthy Youth Survey that they provide information on. They're based in Issaquah. They have a location at the school district. So I know they're quite heavily involved the Issaquah School District side of Sammamish, but nonetheless, they do serve lots of folks, you know, in Sammamish.
Okay. Is there any questions or discussion here? You have a magic something to put on the screen that shows the.
So we're going to show, and then I would also like personally to apologize. Commissioner Annam and Commissioner Botterberg worked really hard on this, and I was not able to like make a meeting. So this should have come to you guys ahead of time, and it should have been in your packet. And I think that would have been a little bit easier for you to follow. So I apologize, and definitely for the following meetings with subgroups, we'll make sure that we have this available to everyone.
What we're recommending is based on, wouldn't it be nice if we could? What we have in, funding requests is nearly double what we were able to give 2 years ago. So it's going to come to a lot of reckoning to pull our priorities out for all 5 of the focus groups. And we're going to hear from 3 focus groups next month.
Yes, next month we'll hear from the domestic violence, cultural inclusion and seniors subgroup.
I have a generic question here. I just want to understand the theme on which we decide upon a certain number to be given to a particular organization as compared to what that requested. Are we following certain rules based on certain criterias, like, how many Sammamish residents are they serving, or what could the funds be used for if they have a list of items they've provided, exactly what they would be using the funds for? Are there certain criterias? My question is on which we're basing our decision on how much as per the ask.
Right, and that's a great $24 million question, and we don't have $24 million. So everyone's going to have a score sheet that they kind of individually look at, and that kind of helps guide the commission, the individual commissioner. And so clearly we can't fund everyone, and it really comes down to your own evaluation. Each of the applications will show you how many Sammamish residents they're anticipating to serve in that application. So sometimes that will go a long way into helping contribute to a decision. But as far as like, as a commission and as commissioners, you can fund someone 100%, you can say 0, or you can say we'll give 50%. So there's no formula as such there. I'm happy to hear from other commissioners that have done this before and boots on the ground. So
Regional good is another one of those. You'll see that especially when you get into the basic needs one, where we don't have many people from here that have been served perhaps, but there's the potential, and we need to help fund that regional good that it does exist for shelters, for domestic violence also.
yeah, so just adding on to what Commissioner Bottenberg says. So Commissioner Mishra, like normally, like the commission will look and really look, I think Sammamish residents served is one of the big reasons as to why we fund or not. The caveat is for homelessness services, because as Commissioner Bottenberg said, if you're homeless in Sammamish, you're not going to stay in Sammamish because there's no resources here. So we don't really look, the commission don't really look at whether how many Sammamish residents are going to be served, and we give that funding to them regardless. And that's for homelessness, yes.
Another resource we have is Rita can tell us how they have performed
Mm.
against their estimates of service units. And so that kind of helps guide, well, they, way over projected. So we don't, think they're going to need as much as they ask for, but we still think it's a worthy program. So we just kind of have to figure out amongst ourselves as we're talking about the applications, what we think might be a fair level. But a lot of it is, the previous performance and
Yeah.
whether they were able to meet their targets.
And when we did this procedure 2 years ago, we got the 2021 actuals, the 2023 anticipated. And, we had just a year away from COVID at that time. And it was quite a learning factor, as the isolation factor and the depression and all that wore into, I could say, a great majority of the proposals. What also came was the staff itself, that they were underpaid and they were leaving, or it was better to collect unemployment or something, and be able to help give a living wage to the nonprofits to be able to keep their staff. And then, of course, the 2020 process was great because we were smack in the middle of COVID.
Mhm.
And we had very interesting speakers to from the nonprofits, letting us know from the inside what was happening. 2018 was easier. 2016 was fun. It was the transition from the city council and the city clerk handling, and started the human services task force to move it into city council appointed volunteers. I guess that's this agenda.
I have a question, Joyce. Did you use the scoring sheet as you went through there, or do we use this later, the scoring sheet? Did you? use
Yes,
that as you went
I'll
through?
show you my fancy spreadsheet.
Well, I'm also,
I do it as an Excel document, and I put each one of the things that are on that up here, and then I do my 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s across. Then I add them up, and I can see them in comparison to each other.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, diversified funding people, I like that. But not everybody has that advantage. They can't get the federal, and the small agencies may not have the professional fundraiser that the big agencies have. So you have to be able to keep that into consideration. So then with all these great titles, dollar things down for the 20, right now, 15 mental wellness, I figured out what the average was. Okay, now which of the ones above that average in here that I would feel had to be supported no matter what? But on this here, you're saying, let's go for everybody, because we're gonna have to fight it out with basic needs, domestic violence, seniors, and cultural diversity to be able to come up with a budget that will be able to be presented to a city council with hope of being able to be funded.
send out your cheat sheet?
You have that. I can send it to
Okay.
you again.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
would be good. And you mentioned several times the importance of regional good.
Yeah.
But I don't see that on the scoring sheet. Is that a place where we can consider that? I mean, because I think it's something that should be
Yeah.
considered.
Well, I think as Rita mentioned, it's more in the programs where it's hard to measure Sammamish residents served. That it's like in the homeless shelters and you know, the women's shelters, because you can't measure the number of Sammamish residents. So that's more of the view we take for the, you know, good of the community. Versus the other ones, they seem to have more Sammamish-based metrics.
And then Commissioner Martin, like with regards to the score sheet, that's really your own individual, like it's just a way, it's a first touch. And it's a way to be like, yes, definitely, or don't think so. And it's a little bit clarifying and a guide. But again, everyone has different ways of evaluating those applications. But that's, again, a first touch.
Okay.
And then also just to give you some context for like, you know, the mental wellness grants, in total, we have a request of 1,342,758. So mental wellness is a big chunk, but there's a lot more requests as well amongst the other 4 subgroups.
And wait till you look at those numbers. And when you see 6 people identified as Sammamish residents and 10 people in some of these programs that are for the kids out of high school mental illness diagnosis, and you see them with a 21 and over, where do I go in life with my situation? And there's, you know, they're small numbers, but they are magnificent resources for that family.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
And I think for me, the score sheet is just so that I can kind of, I guess, in my mind I know what my criteria are, and it just helps me record out. Because I think we're on the same subgroup, right? And there's a lot to track. And so it just kind of helps you like comparatively look at them in a kind of objective way. But in the end, it is up to you to decide what the score is.
I think everybody in this group is interested in having a community development block grant opportunity. Everybody wants one.
Well, Commissioner Butterberg, respectfully, I don't think the whole commission would I think, you know, for yourself, you know, but I don't know if anyone else is aware of what that means or what that is. And so,
But it's there in the applications that they're interested in it.
I beg your pardon. I thought you meant you as a commission. You mean just the applications you're reading then?
Yeah, I go back in the block grant for about 40 years, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you've got to report on and have to track down, and it's kind of a inside pain to the organization that has to provide it, but the services that funds are phenomenal.
It's just it's a question on the application, whether the applicant would be open to it.
I beg your pardon. And I misheard. I'm so sorry, Commissioner Butterberg. Okay.
And why do we ask that question of the applicants?
So this application is a joint application with 16 other cities. And so like it's a common application. So rather than like an organization have to apply to like 12 different cities, they put in one forward application. And a lot of those cities do manage their own CDBG funds. And so, yeah.
Excellent job. Thank you very much. Any other questions great. If there's no other questions, anything for staff report?
Yeah, so thank you, Commission Chair Nack. Very quickly, I just wanted to update you on, we've obviously got all our applications in, and there were a couple of organizations that didn't apply for funding. One of them was Eastside Legal Assistance Program. They're the only free civil aid program in the community. However, I do know they've always had problems getting their numbers, and so we've not paid them. So I think that may have something to contribute. And then the other one was Eastside Friends of Seniors. They did not submit an application. They missed the deadline. And the deadline was on the Monday. And on the Wednesday, I reached out to the executive director. And she's like, oh, the deadline's tomorrow. And I'm like, no, it was Monday. So they unfortunately missed it. And she completely acknowledges that it was life. She was busy. She missed it. I know that as staff, the executive director attended the training. There were multiple emails going out, not only from Share One app, but from, individual cities as well. And it's very unfortunate. However, from an equity perspective, like if we open that up for that organization, then we would have to open up for all the other organizations as well. And so as sad as that is, we have a deadline for a reason. If we open it up for one organization, we'd have to open it for all organizations. And just is very unfortunate.
That was $20,000 in the past biennial. Mhm.
From Friends of Seniors?
Eastside
Friends of Seniors, yeah. They had lost their rental at Mary Queen of Peace, taking it back for other things for the church. They had just a new person on staff as their executive director. They were working from their homes for 2 or 3 months. They have a very small space in the Lutheran church across the street. It doesn't really fit the 3 part-timers and their 1 executive director. It's a sorry situation.
Very sad. Anything else?
No, I'm just in the throes of applications and quarter one reporting. And currently everyone's met their deliverables, which is good. Yeah, nothing too dramatic going on at the moment. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So kind of sad for the seniors, but good. Next on to commissioner reports. Anything for the commissioners report? I can go. This Saturday, I'm putting on a 2-hour personal protection Zoom session. It's basically, I call it personal protection because it's basically just how to be aware of the world around you. It's kind of getting a little bit on the crazy side out there and just how to stay safe. So if anybody's interested, just ping me on that. It's free. It's about 2 hours and it's open to pretty much anybody. But it's just a basic, how to be aware of the world, what's going on there, and how to keep yourself safer. Anything else?
Sounds like a wonderful program.
Yes, it's sad that we have to do this, but
In today's world.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else? If not, I guess next meeting, our agenda is basically the grant review, domestic violence, seniors, and cultural inclusion. We're going to be meeting this Saturday about 3 p.m. in the Starbucks by QFC, where we're just going to go out and iron this out. So anybody wants to stop by, more than welcome. Go try out their new the new Starbucks pineapple pound cake. And then July 10th is is the grant review, basic needs. So
And if everybody knows the city closes down in August, but we might not. We have a lot to discuss.
I'll just clarify that the city doesn't close down. We don't hold public meetings in August.
Go on
please.
vacation.
I just signed up for a cruise in the 16th through the 23rd, so that's.
And I'm going to Alaska cruise
When are
in
you going?
July.
Oh, okay, I'm going, let's see, August, so,
Okay, out of Seattle.
yes.
Same
Which
here.
one are you- Which one are you doing?
It's Holland America, Westerdam.
Okay. Celebrity.
It's the same thing, really.
Unlimited food. Good. Let's see. Do I have anything else anybody would like to bring up? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Forever, yes.
Do I hear a second?
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay. Do I hear any ayes?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? See everybody next month.
Okay.
Kind of unlimited food. There's